صباح الخير. عناوين اليوم: انستقرام تطلق ميزة جديدة، STC تتعاون مع علي بابا، وآخر استثمارات الوليد بن طلال. يا أهلا وسهلا فيكم ببرنامجكم تك بالعربي، معكم أنا هالة بسام، ومعنا بخلف الكواليس علي وشهير. خلونا نبدأ بأخبارنا لليوم ونحكي عن ميزة جديدة من انستقرام. هل مريتوا بلحظة اللي بدكم تعملوا فيها سكيب للستوريز على الانستقرام، أو مثلا ما بدكم تحضروا كل الستوريز اللي منزلها شخص معين؟ بتوقع كلياتنا مرينا بهذا الموضوع، ولكن الآن انستغرام عم تختبر ميزة جديدة للقصص. رح تظهر هذه الطريقة الجديدة في عرض القصص للمشاهدين أول 3 قصص فقط، مع إخفاء البقية عنها، والتخطي أيضا أو أنه تعمل سكيب للقصص التالية في الخلاصة. فماذا تفعل إذا كنت أنت بتريد عرض جميع قصص الحساب؟ طيب خليني أخبركم. عليكم ببساطة أنكم تنقروا فوق زر رؤية الكل أو فيو أول اللي رح يفتح جميع قصصهم. وما بتهدف هي الميزة إلى منع الأشخاص من نشر مثلا المزيد من القصص، ولكن لا، بالعكس، لا يزال العدد الحالي لقصص انستغرام اللي يمكنك نشره 100 ستوري أو 100 قصة على انستغرام. ولكن اللي بتنوي إنها تعمله هي الميزة هو جعل مستخدميها بيشاهدوا قصص من المزيد من الأشخاص في إطار زمني قصير. هذا بيعني إنك إذا أنت لم تكن مهتما مثلا بمشاهدة قصة لشخص ما، فأنت فيك بكل بساطة أنك تنقر على قصته بالكامل، ورح تظهر ببساطة في القصة التالية ب3 نقرات مثل ما ذكرنا. يعد هذا التحديث ضروريا لمنشئي وصانعي المحتوى اللي بينشروا محتوى القصص على الانستغرام، حيث سيتعين عليهم جعل قصصهم أكثر جاذبية للمستخدمين للنقر على زر عرض الكل أو فيو أول، والحصول على آراء مهمة جدا حول قصصهم. واعتبارا من الآن لا تزال طبعا هذه الميزة قيد الاختبار، والميزة خارجة فقط لعدد صغير من المستخدمين، وبالتالي يمكن إثبات أنه تطبيق مشاركة الصور لا يزال عم بيختبر الميزة، وقد يجري بعض التغييرات طبعا وفقا للتفضيلات والفيدباك اللي بيجي من المستخدمين. بالنظر أيضا إلى حقيقة أنه هي الميزة في مرحلة الاختبار لا يمكننا تقدير إصدارها الرسمي حتى الآن، ولكن ما يقدره الناس هو حقيقة أن قد تؤثر سلبا على صناع المحتوى على انستغرام. خبرونا أنتم إذا أنتم بتعتقدوا نفس الشيء أم لا. أما إذا بدنا ننتقل إلى ثاني خبر معنا لليوم ونحكي عن شراكة وتعاون ما بين STC وعلي بابا برأس مال يبلغ 894 مليون ريال سعودي. أسست مجموعة STC للاتصالات بالتحالف مع علي بابا كلاود التابعة لمجموعة علي بابا الصينية الشهيرة. هي طبعا شركة متخصصة بالحوسبة السحابية تحت مسمى علي بابا كلاود السعودية. لائحة الشركاء بتأسيس الشركة الجديدة ضمت أسماء عديدة أيضا مثل شركة EWTP Arabia Capital، والشركة السعودية للذكاء الاصطناعي أيضا، والشركة السعودية لتقنية المعلومات. ارتفعت أرباح STC في الربع الأول من العام الحالي إلى أكثر من 3 مليارات دولار، بنمو 2.8% عن الفترة عينها من العام الماضي. ومثل ما عم نشوف إنه في أسماء كتير كبيرة عم تشترك بهذه الشراكة ما بين STC وعلي بابا، عم بيكون في خيارات متعددة، حيث عم بتوفر الشركة الجديدة خدمات متقدمة في هذا المجال للشركات العاملة في المملكة. وبالإضافة إلى ذلك أضاف البيان أنه هذا الاستثمار بيعكس الرؤية المستقبلية أيضا لشركة STC ودورها في دفع جهود التحول الرقمي في السعودية. هذا كله من خلال عقد شراكات مع كبرى شركات التكنولوجيا حول العالم، بما يتماشى طبعا مع رؤية المملكة 2030 لجذب الاستثمارات الأجنبية والدولية إلى البلاد. بالإضافة إلى ذلك تعزيز أمن المعلومات من خلال حماية البيانات داخليا في المملكة. كما أفصحت STC سابقا عن عزمها لاستثمار 3.8 مليار ريال لإنشاء شركة متخصصة بخدمات الاستضافة بمراكز البيانات والرابط الإقليمي والدولي. وفي الحديث أكثر أيضا عن المملكة العربية السعودية، قالت شركة المملكة القابضة السعودية يوم الأحد إن الأمير السعودي الملياردير الوليد بن طلال وقع اتفاق مع صندوق الاستثمارات العامة السعودي اللي بيبيع من خلاله 16.87% من أسهم الشركة للصندوق. وذكرت المملكة القابضة في بيان للبورصة إنه صندوق الاستثمارات العامة، وطبعا هو صندوق الثروة السيادية، رح يشتري 600 325 مليون سهم بسعر 9.09 ريال، يعني 2.42 دولار للسهم، بإجمالي 5.68 مليار ريال سعودي. وسعر السهم اللي تمت على أساسه الصفقة هو سعر إغلاقه يوم الخميس تحديدا، وهو أدنى مستوى له في عام كامل. وصعد السهم 8.8% إلى 9.89 ريال. وقالت الشركة أيضا في البيان أن الصفقة رح يتم تنفيذها عن طريق البورصة السعودية تداول يوم الأحد يوم أمس، وبعد إتمامها ستصبح ملكية الأمير الوليد في الشركة 78.13%. ويعد صندوق الاستثمارات العامة هو صندوق الثروة السيادية اللي بيدير أصول لا تزيد قيمتها على 600 مليار دولار. في قلب الأجندة الطموحة طبعا لولي العهد السعودي الأمير محمد بن سلمان لتنويع اقتصاد المملكة العربية السعودية بعيدا عن النفط. هذه كانت كل أخبارنا الصباحية لليوم. بعد الفاصل خليكم معنا مقابلتنا مع كريستيان عيد، مؤسس والمدير التنفيذي لشركة نو بوينو. خليكم معنا ولا تروحوا لبعيد. ورجعنا لكم من جديد ومعنا ضيفنا بالاستديو كريس سعيد المؤسس والمدير التنفيذي لشركة نو بوينو. هاي كريس، كيفك اليوم؟
Very good, nice to meet you. تشرفنا.
Thank you so much for being with us. Tell us more about No Bueno. When did you start it and why?
Sure. So No Bueno, I'll tell you why it's called No Bueno after. But
I'm curious.
we started No Bueno because we realized that the way people find opportunities and the way companies find talent is totally broken. We did a bunch of research and we've been building companies our entire careers. And we all know and we all agree that your company is only as good as the people that you have. And so the ability to find talent to grow your organization is the number one contributor to your success. However, knowing that, the journey and the process is unchanged for the last 200 years.
100%.
Right? It's not objective, it's super biased, it's extremely difficult, and it's getting more challenging. There are many things that have happened. We've had the Great Resignation that's been a huge detriment to finding opportunity and talent. People have changed what they want from their job. We have organizations' needs that are completely changing with digitization across the board in every industry and every part of the planet. And so our ability to find talent today is more important than it used to be, but the tools haven't really evolved. And so we said, okay, why don't we find a way to change the way people do that, and let's do it on the basis of matching instead of searching. Mm-hmm. So we think that job search is fundamentally the problem, and talent search is fundamentally the problem. So let's take search out of it, and let's find the most objective way possible to match talent to opportunities, hence No Bueno.
How? Tell us about the app and how.
Sure. So fundamentally, it's a marketplace. On the talent side, we ask people to download our app. They create a profile. We don't ask them for their CVs, so no CVs or resumes. Right? We ask them to tell us a little bit about their values, their personality, their technical skills, their soft skills.
Wow.
And then we ask them to put weights or importance to what's kind of more relevant for them. So for example, once you tell us what your values and personality are, once you tell us what your technical skills are, we ask you to tell us what's the most important for you. Are values the most important? Are personality the most important? Et cetera, and we filter accordingly. Same thing on the recruiter side. Same thing on the talent search. We ask you to create a role without a job description. And we then ask you the same series of questions about values, personality, technical skills, and soft skills. Now, why did we decide to get rid of job descriptions? Why did we decide to get rid of CVs? It's because in our research, we realized that job descriptions are misrepresentations of opportunities. And the best example is, I always get people reach out to me and say, hey, Chris, do you know anybody for this job?
Exactly.
And often, for example, I'm a marketeer, and often I'll be given a VP of marketing role or a CMO role that they're looking for, and they say, Chris, do you know anyone for this job? And I look at the job and I say, hey, would you hire me for this job? And they said, of course, in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
And then I respond, well, I don't have half these skills.
Wow.
And so we realized that job descriptions, generally speaking, are misrepresentations of opportunity. Same thing for CVs. When you create a CV, if you want to be competitive in the market, you over-embellish everything.
I mean, we're done with the idea of I work under pressure and those kind of...
Absolutely. And so we realized that CVs were misrepresentations too. Everybody over-embellishes, emphasizes a bit too much on specific things because they just want to get a chance to be in front of people. So the starting point was no job descriptions and no CVs, and let's be very objective about how we find talent and how we find opportunity, and hence a matching platform.
Interesting. So it's like going to be B2B with the recruiters and B2C with the
talent.
With the talents.
Precisely, yeah.
Perfect. Can you tell us more about your business model?
So fundamentally, at the moment right now, we are not charging. It's not monetized. It's absolutely free on both sides of the spectrum. But in the long-term vision of the product, you're going to be paying as a recruiter per match that you get. So only if you get value from the platform, only if you match to talent, do you pay a matching fee. The matching fee we're estimating is going to be about 99 cents. It's going to be super affordable because we absolutely need this to scale. We want the friction to be as low as possible, and we want people to use it as much as possible. So affordability is everything.
You were talking about the importance of talent, and we see that even with investors. When they want to invest in a company, they look at the team more than anything. But tell us more about the changes in talent, especially, did you see any trends, especially during COVID? Like the unemployment rate, unfortunately, it went really high. We're reading some numbers. It was like up to 220 million people were unemployed globally.
Yeah, so there are many factors. Even before COVID, the Great Resignation started. And the Great Resignation can be summarized as, a workforce, a global workforce that decided to prioritize different things. Not just money, not just career, but lifestyle. So, in our modern society, your work, your effort, your kind of day-to-day is really dictated by how much you work and what you do for a living. And people started to realize what the cost of that was. And so fundamentally, people started resigning. And if they were looking for a new job, they were looking for jobs based on their values, based on their culture, based on what kind of life they wanted to live. So that started early on, and then during COVID, it completely exploded. So it got bigger and bigger, it accelerated. And I think COVID has done a few things, but even now, as COVID slowly starts to wane off, we're still seeing the same trends and increasing. And so the way we would characterize what's happening with talent today is as follows. Number one, it's scattered. You no longer find talent in city centers. So if you're looking for talent, if you're a technology company in Dubai, you cannot only look at Dubai. You have to look at Egypt, you have to look at Turkey, you have to look at India, you have to look at Pakistan. So your radius of search has to ever expand in order to find the talent that you're looking for, because it's scattered, and also because a remote-first lifestyle is here to stay. We're going to see hybrid models. We're always going to come to the studio and to the office. But at the end of the day, this hybrid model is here to stay. And companies need to change how they look for talent and think about how they can create environments for people in different markets, in different geographies, in different time zones. And so the way you find talent today, just looking at your network within your market, is not enough. It really limits your ability to find people and to find opportunity. And so that's what we believe No Bueno also will help do. It'll connect talent pools in all geographies, across different continents, across different geographies, but within the same skill sets and needs.
But that's very important. Did you see also like a shift in people looking for remote work or part-time as well? Because as you said, like the priorities for people in terms of work is different now.
Absolutely. I mean, the first data point that we have already, we're 3 months into this project, every single job that was listed on No Bueno, every single one is marked as a hybrid.
Wow.
So hybrid being location and or remote. Now, I never thought that would happen. I mean, we give companies 3 different choices: on location only, remote or hybrid, or remote only. And everybody's either remote or hybrid or remote only, which is incredible. I mean, we have one company on our platform called Sarwa.
Of course,
they only do remote only.
Yeah.
All their jobs are remote first. I would have never believed this 2-3 years ago, but now we're seeing this as just an absolute common trait across all organizations.
That's really interesting. And I've seen also something very interesting in the app that it says under it, know your worth.
Yeah.
Tell us more. What
all
do you
right,
mean?
so, what I get paid for what I do for a living, what you get paid for what you do for a living is unfortunately bias. So your market value today, you're totally unaware of it. You're only aware of what people are ready to pay for your role. And that's across all organizations. It's not just an Augustus Media or Smashy trend. And so generally today, what you get paid for your job is predominantly decided by what people within that organization and within a small geography, so within Dubai, rate the value of that job.
True.
However, that doesn't mean that there might be opportunities for you in different markets, in different opportunities, etc. And so today, whatever your
My
job
boss
title
is watching,
yeah,
so.
if you're watching, this is a little hint for you. But today, what you're worth on the market is based on your job title and what bracket that job title sits in within that market, within that industry. It's very specific. However, your skills are transferable across many different types of roles, across many geographies, etc. So in theory, if there are tons of opportunities out there that match your technical capability, you'll have an idea of what your market worth is. And so today, I'll give you a more concrete example. If you are a back-end developer, and you have worked for some of the best brands, and you're based in India, let's say, then your average market value is X. But if you're a back-end developer and you work in the Valley or in San Francisco, let's say, and you work for a few interesting brands as well, the market value is definitely different. Now there's many reasons for that, but predominantly it's because of the average value, perceived value of that job within one market, one currency, one economy, etc., versus another one. But that doesn't mean that somebody in an Indian market cannot do the job better or at least equal to the job of the person in San Francisco, and hence raising their global value. And so the idea behind the platform is if you create your profile, if you put in your technical skills, if we understand who you are, over time, once we have critical mass and we have lots of opportunities, we'll be able to see what your average market value is on a global spectrum, not just within the spectrum of where you're working and which industry you're in within your market. And so when we say know your worth, we say, we're not here to only help you find a new job. We're here to help you understand what you might be worth in the market. Now, the presumption is it's always going to be higher, but it might also be lower.
Yeah.
So you might be overpaid. So there are some pros and cons to this as well, but we believe that a marketplace is the right way to give value to human capital. Today, I had a cup of coffee. That cup of coffee cost me X. That's based on the demand and supply of coffee beans, et cetera, around the world. What we put in our car is based on demand and supply in terms of fuel. But human capital is absolutely dictated by specific biases and values that are perceived by specific individuals and industries. And we don't think that's fair, and we think that we should create a marketplace to adjust that.
But that not only contributes to the people in themselves, like the individuals or the companies, it's an economy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely.
So it's really great. Are there like certain skills that are needed or companies are looking for in the talents nowadays?
Yeah, so when we started No Bueno, we thought we would really lean towards marketing, communication, brand kind of roles, just because of who we are as an organization, just because of the type of brand that we built, et cetera. But to our surprise, the most successful kind of matches that we have on the platform today are much more technical. So everything that's technology. So anything from back-end developing, front-end developing, engineers, data science, et cetera, product manager roles, those are the ones that get the biggest hits at the moment. And I think there's some logic to that too, because they're very specific in the technical skills. It's easier to match. They're harder skills. Whereas a marketeer, a branding specialist, et cetera, they're softer skills. True. So it's a bit more difficult. So our algorithm and our learning and our product has to improve to be able to kind of better cater to those types of jobs.
Yeah, that's true. What about the talents? What are they looking for? You said values.
Yes.
Is it a priority nowadays?
Absolutely. And so, first of all, our product prioritizes it. When you create your profile on No Bueno, the first thing we make you go through are a set of values and personalities. We ask you where you stand on specific topics. And to our surprise, it's really intriguing to see how much time people spend on those, to see where they stand specifically on specific values. That's super, super interesting. And then we ask them to see, what's most important to you from a values perspective, from a weight perspective. How important are values? And most of the talent put it quite high. Okay. So they say, I only want to be matched to opportunities that match my values by 60% or more, or 70% or more. So they're quite important.
It is, honestly. And as we said, there's a huge change, especially after COVID, because people started noticing that they can leave their jobs in a day or so, and they can lose the opportunity, but then therefore there are a lot of other opportunities as well too.
Yeah, so the job market has changed considerably, right? I think one statistic that we, don't quote me specifically on this, but one statistic that we're finding quite shocking, and we're starting to ring the alarm a little bit, is the average tenure that employees, spend in organizations. In technology brands globally, the average tenure is less than 1 year. So people change job on average every year in the technology sector. This is not, if you take the average tenure globally for all industries and all jobs, it's about 4 years or just under 4 years, but technology, it's a year and less. And when we look at the organizations that we work with here, organizations that we're aware of, tenure is actually lower than that. We're actually seeing the average tenure of around 10 months.
Wow.
And so if you think about that, there's a critical issue. There's the cost that will bring to an organization. So the opportunity cost, the cost of search, the cost of hiring. And if you think about the cost associated to that, it's about 12 to 13% of an annual salary is what you spend to hire somebody. So if you're a startup or an SME and you have to do this every year for every job, it's a huge cost. On the talent side, now there are pros and cons. I don't know about you guys, but when I was growing up, it was all about, build a career, so find a great organization that values you and grow with them, you know, and loyalty is everything.
100%.
Right? And I'm not saying that people should not be loyal. I'm just saying that once you have the mindset of a career, your growth is very linear in earning capabilities, in talent, in exposure to kind of new challenges, et cetera. Your learning will be very, very linear. Whereas if you change job quite often, the challenges are much more complex. The opportunity for growth multiplies, et cetera, et cetera. And that mindset has really kind of been adopted by, I would say, millennials, Gen X, Gen Y, et cetera, and changing jobs for them is absolutely common. And on one side, I totally agree with that. And I think this type of a platform will allow people to do that more and more. I know we have one topic that kind of makes us uncomfortable and we're not sure where we stand, and that is retention. How important is retention, right? And so, is retention the underlying objective of a healthy company? Potentially. But at the same time, there is this vision of a future where most organizations are open source, where a lot of, or a big body of their talent will be an open source kind of solution, where we're not looking to build headcount, we're looking to build capability of execution, and hence do it from a task perspective. I need to solve these problems. Who can help me solve these problems within or outside of the organization? Again, bringing the value of a platform like No Bueno kind of up in terms of being able to find people quickly and kind of seamlessly.
But that's, we're breaking a lot of stereotypes here.
Absolutely.
Like you said, no CVs, no traditional, no job description. And honestly, many HRs, they copy-paste the job description sometimes, to be honest, because it's well known.
You said it, not me.
I know, but it's there, it happens.
It's true.
So and now, as you're saying, even for talents as well, it's well known that they stay in a company for 4 years or more, or 7, 8 years. That means they're happy in their career. However, it might not be the case at all.
So I think everything is individual. Everything is personal.
Exactly.
I don't think there's a general rule that you can apply to anything. I'm not suggesting that staying in an organization for a long period of time is not good. I think there are some great organizations out there that have the right tools and the right mindset in place to grow their talent, right?
Exactly.
And I think that has to do with the kind of operations, the leadership, and the value set of an organization. So, I don't think it's a blanket rule, right? But I think generally speaking, we live in a society where things are changing so quickly all the time, and we're living in a society where kind of the perceived or kind of sought after lifestyle is also ever changing. And so you kind of need to build a workforce and an ability to kind of move from opportunity to opportunity that is more catered to what people want. Job descriptions, as you said, when I was saying that we realized that the job kind of search process hasn't changed, it hasn't changed in over 250 years. So how you used to find a job 250 years ago was predominantly the same as today. And what I mean by the same is, when you want to hire somebody today, you first start with a job description or some representation of a job. Now, the problem with a job description is you need to articulate as closely as possible what it is you're looking for, right? And typically we do that from a technical perspective, right? So we say we want somebody, if we're looking for, I don't know, a developer or something, we're looking for somebody that has C++, Python, Ruby, et cetera, and we list all these technical skills. And then we put a bunch of blurbs about who we are and what it is that we're looking for as a person, et cetera. But most of the time, as you said, that is done by copy-pasting an old job description or finding something online that represents what you're looking for. And unfortunately, that means that a big portion of the job description is misrepresenting kind of the opportunity. And on the CV side, by the way, CV means curriculum vitae, which I have no idea what that means.
I've never knew that.
and so that's indicative of how backwards it might be. No one understands what that means. But it's the same thing, right? So when I create kind of a CV, if I'm looking for a job, I'm going to put all of my jobs, but I'm going to over-accentuate everything. I'm going to kind of over-embellish it. If I manage 5 people, I'll put, I managed 10. If I have some proficiency in some skill, I'm now an expert. If I drove, $1 million in revenue for a company, I'll put $2 million. And you know why? I think most people do that because they treat it almost as a white lie. They say, you know what? It's so competitive out there. I just need a chance to sit in front of the recruiter, and I know that once they see me for who I am, they'll see my value and they'll consider me. So you know what? If I have to embellish a little bit of a lie over here, a little bit of a lie over there, then it's okay, because at least I'll be able to speak to the recruiter and they'll see how valuable I am. So if you think about it, the starting point of a job description and a CV are misrepresentations. And so if we start on the wrong foot, we'll never land in the right opportunity, right? And so that's the fundamental belief behind getting rid of these processes. And the last part is values. I think most people leave organizations. I know I have. Every job I've ever had and every job I've ever left was based on culture and values, right? And so, if we can find a way to have that be a part of the kind of process from the beginning, then that might help us find opportunities that are better suited for us.
Just like any relationship, honestly. If you're
just like a dating app.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Yeah.
Like those are my values. And while you're saying that, like I'm remembering how I applied for this job. There was no role open. I just sent a message to our CEO on LinkedIn because I really believed in Smashy since the beginning. And I'm like, those are my skills. This is how I can add value to this company. Check my CV. I don't know if I sent my CV as well. So he's like, email me, and then we met and I got the job. So literally it's being clear, being transparent, that those are my skills. Really believe in this company and I would love to be part of the team.
And that's fundamentally it, right? I think the best recruiters, the best business builders have extreme emotional intelligence, right? They can sit in front of somebody and be able to measure them, not just from a technical capability, but who they are and whether they fit with their organization and their team. So having that emotional intelligence from the get-go is what most great leaders have. However, if you think about the job search process and you look at the tools that we use, like a LinkedIn or a Lever or Indeed or Bait, etc., there is no way to integrate emotional intelligence within that process in terms of how they're built at the moment, because it's based on representations of people and representations of opportunity. So CVs and job descriptions replace that initial contact. Whereas when you emailed Rich and you said, hey, I love what you do, he was able to read into kind of the words that you chose. He loved the kind of initiative that you took. There's an emotional piece to that he was able to value that he could not have assumed if you just clicked apply on LinkedIn.
100%.
And so how do we kind of digitize or find a way to digitize that? Then we have to measure where people stand on specific values, and we have to kind of measure personality traits somehow, and that's what we're trying to do. And at some point, technology can play a role. AI, matching algorithms, some sort of data science has to drive this. There has to be a way to do it. At the end of the day, what we promise with No Bueno is that we'll connect you to the right talent and the right opportunity, but you still have to do your job as a recruiter. You still have to speak to the talent. You still have to interview them. You still have to read them emotionally and see if they're a good fit for your company.
But didn't you face any tech challenges, like in the AI and...
Huge.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, huge. And I think we're ever changing. I think we're now just over 3 months old. The product that we went to market with compared to the product that we have today has already evolved quite a bit. Right? We're starting to see how people, answer specific questions, what the challenges are in matching, for example. I think one big insight I can give as a data point is, we ask a values question where we ask people to say where they stand between two specific points. And the 2 points, for example, I'll use this as an example, is impact and money. How important is impact or money to you between the two? And we ask you, where are you between the two? Now, I'm more driven by impact. So I might put it slightly towards impact. I won't put it all the way because money is still important for me. So I'll put it, let's say, halfway between the middle mark and the impact. But the opportunity might be more on money. That doesn't mean that we're not a match. That's what we realized. What's important is the distance between the two, not which side they're on. So if an organization is slightly more geared towards money, it doesn't mean that because I'm geared more for impact that I'm not a match. What's important is how far are we apart? And that's one thing we had to evolve at the end, because it's not binary. It's not, I'm only about impact or I'm only about money. It's, everyone's a little bit of something and a little bit of another thing. And so how far we are from each other, that's what we're trying to pay attention to now, which we weren't at the beginning.
Interesting. Tell us more about the name. You didn't tell us how did you come.
So we're called No Bueno. Most people said, No Bueno, what are you, a Spanish company? No, not at all. It's actually a funny story. When we were creating the product, we wrote on a whiteboard, no job descriptions, no CVs, no bias, no discrimination, no fees, etc. And if you have no job, then that's no good. We wrote all these no's, 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 no's. And I'm a marketeer. And my entire career, I was told that the #1 rule of marketing or branding is never to have any negative association to your brand. And I'm a rule breaker. I never really believed in this rule. But we said, you know what? Like, at the end of the day, the system is broken. The process is broken. Everything is no good. And we said, as a joke, it's no bueno. As a joke, we said it in Spanish. And why Spanish? I travel quite a bit, and one country that I'm always in love with is Spain. And when we go to Spain, and this is not a data point, this is not based on fact, but whenever I go there, I always feel like the Spaniards have really figured it out.
Okay.
They have a nice balance of life and work. They always seem to have kind of a work ethic that's it's there, but at the same time they prioritize their lifestyle, their quality of life a lot more than we might in other markets. And so I said, you know what, as an ode to Spain and to Spaniards,
no bueno.
let's just instead of calling it no good, let's just call it no bueno. Nice. And it has a nice feel to it. It has a negative association that breaks all the rules, and it kind of pushes a lifestyle that might be kind of prioritizing people instead of just growth of professional career.
Nice, we like that. Tell us more about the future plans.
All right, so we are in beta mode. The idea was to get about 30 to 40 jobs and a few thousand users and to see if it actually works, if it actually matches. Fast forward 3 months, we have thousands of users. We've had over 100 jobs on the platform. It's incredible. We have over 750 matches. Oh. So now we're blown away. It actually works. The idea actually works. And so at the moment, now we're starting to build the team. We built our product team. We're in scale mode. So now you're going to see us moving faster and faster. And what's most interesting as well is we're going to have to go geographically quite quickly because the talent pools, as I said, are quite scattered. And so at the moment, we're going to be growing our team, growing our organization, growing our capabilities, and just scaling like crazy, and making sure that the data science and the intelligence part, the IP, which is essentially that, the IP of No Bueno is its algorithm, its matching capability. We're going to make sure that we have a robust way of building that and making the product better and better and better.
Awesome. Chris, thank you so much and best of luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. شكرا لكل الناس اللي تابعتنا. أنا بشوفكم بكرة بنفس الموعد. نهاركم سعيد جميعا.